It's 4 o'clock on a Tuesday. You know what that means, don't you? It's time for another exciting episode of Taxi's Quarantini Happy Hour. Yahoo! How are you guys? Let's see who's in that chat room, because today we're going to talk about what is the best music library. Yep, I'm going to divulge that in today's show, what the best music library is for you. So, with that, I bid you a hello to everybody. Let's see, we've got Ewart Williams, John Pearson, Bob Gunnerfelt, Nancy Collell, Michael Lehman, Edmund Red, Mark Fell, Ken Mesford, Rick Barassa, Dean Turner, Peter Rahill, Martin Gravel, Andre Stepanian, Nancy L. McGinnis, Heidi Owen, Jan Weiland, Reed Geestland. I'm going with Geestland. Marion Laird, Elliot. Peter says the best library is the one that likes your music. Eric Anderson, Jesse J. Peck, if I didn't say that already. PR, piano, guitar, voice lessons. Hello, you guys. How are you? Good to see you. Flying solo today. No guest, no tech problems, hopefully, other than I noticed that my hair is acting a little weird with the green screen today, but, so what? I got it cut, I think, about 9 days ago, so it's a little spiky, and the little spiky things don't react well with the green screen. Sherry Marcus Milano, hello. How are you? Good to see you. Hello, Jay Lee. And Reed, it's Guestland. Okay. Reed Guestland. Or is it Guest Eland? I don't know. We'll figure it out. I promise. Darren Fletcher. Hello. Ken Messer just start a library of his own so he can sign himself at least once a week just to get on a roll. That's pretty funny. Anyway, which one? Guestyland or Guestland? Hello, Chris Anderson. How are you? So, what is the best music library? Well, this is certainly not going to fill up an hour, maybe 10 minutes, but I'm curious to see what you think of this conceptually. But before, let's see. Oh, my air conditioner's set on 71. Boy, these studio lights are so hot. I got to give you guys fair warning. If you go to Trader Joe's and you buy the green matcha tea in the Red Bull-sized can, be aware that that is like crystal meth in a can. As you guys know, I will drink one of these bad boys, mostly for the show. Hello, Rockstar. I do love the flavor. I could care less about the caffeine and all the other stuff in there. It really doesn't seem to affect me, unless I were to drink like 2 cans of that, which I won't. But I was at Trader Joe's on the way to the office on Saturday, and I knew that I'd be working like a 10-hour day on Saturday, and I thought, I'm going to drink something healthier, like a lot healthier than Red Bulls or Rockstars today. So I'm going to get myself some green tea, matcha green tea. I like the way it's kind of thick and very flavorful. That stuff, seriously, after drinking half of a little can, one of those dudes that's about that big around and about that tall, after drinking half of the can, and I remembered that I had the same reaction a couple of years ago, your heart is pounding out of your chest. You can feel the blood rushing in the veins in your neck. It's not safe. That stuff is just plain. It doesn't have a caffeine number on anywhere in the can, so it's natural caffeine. It comes from matcha green tea. Just be careful. If you've ever had any heart issues or high blood pressure issues, do not drink that stuff. Anyway, let's see. Andre can't go to Trader Joe's because I'm lower class living in the upper 48. Okay. No, it doesn't have guarana. It doesn't have anything in it. Trader Joe's has dried Thai chili pepper snacks. Wow. That sounds like heartburn. I do like a good cup of coffee. I only have one cup in the morning, sometimes another half on top of that, but I do really appreciate good tasting coffee. It's one of life's little pleasures. And I didn't drink coffee until I was probably 55 years old. My wife always drank instant, and I would sample her coffee and go, crap, who would drink this stuff? It tastes like rusty water. And then one day we were somewhere. I think we were in a hotel room somewhere, and the coffee machine was broken in the room. So she said, I noticed the Starbucks downstairs. I would go get get herself a Starbucks. I took a sip of that and went ding, ding, ding. So that's what real coffee tastes like. I know Starbucks is not famous for having the greatest coffee in the world, but certainly a lot better than the instant coffee. And now I buy at Costco the big red and white bag of dark roast. We love it. We love it. We like our coffee kind of strong, and then add a packet of sweetener to it, and the sweet cream flavor coffee creamer. Anyway, now you know everything you need to know about my life, and we're going to get back to the topic of what's the best music library for you. So I get asked that question all the time. I mean, if we have friends over for dinner or I'm somewhere in a social setting and somebody goes, oh, I heard you're in the music business, and I tell them about Taxi, and I do my usual spiel on, it's really hard to get a record deal, especially today. It's even harder, but it does happen. We've had a couple people get deals in the last year. But film and TV is the way to go because it'll keep you busy. It helps you get good really quickly because of the demanding timelines and the amount of product you have to make, music. And they want to know more. Tell me more. And I tell them about the whole film and TV thing and production music libraries. Inevitably, they will say, well, what's the best music library? Because they're smart. They ask the right question. They're going to take a shortcut, right? Wrong. So I get that question, I don't know, from Taxi members probably once or twice a month. People put it in comments on YouTube videos. I see people ask it on the forum. I get emails from people that have figured out my email address, and they ask this question. Well, and I say, well, Music Mouse is by far the best music library, and that will make you a whole bunch of money. And they go, Music Mouse? And I chuckle to myself because I know they go home and they Google it. I don't think there's a library named Music Mouse, but that's just me screwing with them because I'm that kind of guy. But it is about making money, right? I mean, some of it is the intense satisfaction you get when you know your music just got heard by a few million people on a TV show, or your family or friends are sitting there with you and they get to check it out. Well, it's like, wow, I turned green. I was red before. Oh, well. So they do this stuff. They just want to know what's the one that makes me the most money, gets me the most fame and fortune, whatever. I can't look at myself like that. Hold on, folks. Yours truly is going to do a little live video post color. Where are we? Hue. Whoa, there we go. Look at that. I'm a leprechaun. Oh, you guys didn't see me because I didn't have the shot go live yet. I give up. I'm glad this is a quarantine and not an official Taxi TV. I'd be so embarrassed. But with you guys, hell no, you're like family. Nothing can embarrass me in front of you. All right, whatever it looks like when I take it to the live shot, that's what you're getting. There we go. That's what we're settling with. Okay, so to some degree, music and the personal satisfaction, I guess, or to a large degree, those are the ways that you measure, which music library you want to be in. A friend might tell you that they get a ton of placements and make a lot of money with a particular library, but that might not be the case for you. And here's why. That company might have several reality TV shows as regular clients, right? And they get tons and tons of cues in every episode of this particular reality show, or maybe a couple or a few. And if your friend is great at creating tension cues or dramedy cues, and they're in luck, and they'll likely flourish in that catalog for some period of time. But if you make big cinematic orchestral trailer cues, let's say, that library may have no trailer companies that reach out to them for music. But they may go ahead and sign you and say, I love this, this is great, and put it in their catalog, hoping that when the day comes that somebody asks them for a trailer instrumental, that they've got it. If you do singer-songwriter songs with lyrics, that catalog that does all, the dramedy stuff and tension cues for reality TV could be horrible for you. But the library might hear your music and think, someday somebody's going to come and ask for that. Or maybe I'd like to go in that direction. And you get all excited. They say, I love this song. I'd like to add it to my catalog, especially if you're new at this or you've never had something signed before. And you're just like floating on a cloud. I'm so happy somebody out there loves me. They love me. They love my music. I'm validated. My life is complete. And I completely get that. I do. I really, really, really do. I'm not putting you down, making fun of you for feeling that way. I completely understand it. So they love my music, and therefore I love them. So then I'm going to say, well, I've got a bunch of other stuff, and do you want to hear it? Or maybe they'll ask you, what else you got there, Jack? And you end up putting a bunch of music in that catalog. Why? Because they love, capital L-O-V-E, they love, love, love me. Okay. But they love your music because they don't have a lot of that in their catalog. Or maybe they're being hopeful, that someday somebody will ask for it, or maybe they can expand their catalog more in that direction and go find some clients. But how long might that take? 6 months, a year? Look, I'm working without paper. Now I'm back to the paper. 6 months, a year, 2 years, maybe never, probably never. And what about looking at libraries whose names you see in credits? I do this all the time. When I'm not working on the rally, if I take a Saturday off or a Sunday, and I will sit on the bed in our bedroom watching the History Channel all day long. I especially love Ancient Aliens. Any of the shows with little green men or flying saucers are always fun to watch. So I look at the credits at every one of those shows. Even when I DVR stuff, I still look at the credits to see who the composer is, the score, and what the libraries are. And a lot of times I look these libraries up, and it turns out that some of them are royalty-free libraries, which there are varying degrees and types of those, and that's a whole other discussion. But what several of them, maybe even many of them are libraries that will do a blanket deal. Let's say the show, I'm just going to throw one out. This is not reality. I'm just making this up, but it's an example. Let's say the show is Ancient Aliens, and you see that it's, Mighty Mouse Music or whatever it's called, and you look it up, and if you read long enough or reach out to somebody that because I know somebody who's in every library pretty much, and I ask them, and they tell me, oh, they don't pay on a blanket. So, what do you mean? You don't get any back end? Oh, no. I get back end on a blanket. But if they get 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 grand, whatever that number is, for an all-you-can-eat out of this library for that TV series or this network for an entire season or maybe for an entire year, whatever that number is, there are several, if not many, music libraries out there that won't proportionally divvy up the money that they get from that blanket. It's hard work. Trying to figure out, well, Bob over there got, 14 pieces in, and oh gosh, I guess we can't count it by pieces of music that were placed. We have to look at the runtime for each one of those pieces of music. So now we've got to take Bob and 197 other composers and look at every one of their cues that hit a cue sheet, total up the time, and go, okay, so if we got 20 grand as an upfront, as a blanket on this season, let's say, for a particular show, and Bob had a runtime of 3 hours, 17 minutes, and 14 seconds. And then Steve over there had 6 hours, 12 minutes, and 8 seconds. And then Shelley over there had whatever the number. And we proportionally divvy out half of that money that we got on the blanket. Probably not worth it for $10,000 or $20,000. And that's probably in the ballpark of what a blanket is. Not worth it for them, worth it for you. But there are libraries that don't split that blanket payment. But you do still get paid on the back end. And if you're a rookie, you're probably thinking, no big deal. I'm still making money in the back end. Yeah, but wouldn't you like to get a check for another $800 or $1,000 or $1,200, whatever the number is? So you got to be careful not to go with those guys. I don't think that they're necessarily evil so much as they are just lazy, but laziness can beget evilness. Ooh, that's quotable. Laziness can beget evilness. Here, let's do it in my trailer guy voice. Laziness can beget evilness. There you go. Let's see, I'm reading my notes here. Okay, so it's a great idea if you're offered a deal from a library, whether it's one that you found on your own or one that you met through Taxi or one that you met through a referral from another member or you met them at a road rally, whatever. It's great to ask them, what are some of the current shows that you're working on? Because really what you want to find is a company that is a good fit for your music. So if you do a lot of, you're really in love with doing trailer stuff, and this library, they got a trailer placement 3 years ago. That was one. As opposed to, we work with libraries here at Taxi where the main thrust of what they do is getting placements in trailers. That's where I'd want to put my music. So just because the first one says, I love you, you don't have to love them back. There you go. So ask them to name some shows that they're currently working on. You're like, oh my gosh, they're going to be offended that I'm asking them a tough question. I don't think they will be. Honestly, I think they'll be a little bit impressed that you had the presence of mind and the smarts and some business savvy, and you asked the question. Hey, I just want to know, what kind of shows you're working on. What are the genres that you mostly get placed in those shows? Because I want to make sure that I've got the right kind of music for your catalog so we're both making money. They're going to go, wow, I like this person. I want to work with this person. And ask them, do you get more placements with cues or with songs? Very, very legitimate question. There's some libraries that I can think of where probably 70 or 80% of the placements they get, maybe even as much as 90 or 100%, are with songs. And those can be really valuable placements. I mean, if you land, a song in Grey's Anatomy at the end of the show, and that song runs for 1 minute and 32 seconds, you're making some nice money on that. You'd have to get a lot of instrumental cue spins to equal that. However, you might not get, you might have instrumental cues that get picked up in a reality show every week for an entire season because the editor likes your stuff, as opposed to getting one song placed in Grey's Anatomy every third year, or shows like Grey's Anatomy. It's not something that typically happens all the time. But could you get a check for $2,000, $3,000, $5,000? Yep. So if I made a note, if you're worried that they'll get pissed off that you're asking those questions, I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about it. Frankly, I think that they will be very impressed that you ask those questions. Just don't ask them like you're giving them the third degree. Don't go. So, don't hit them with Jersey Shore attitude. Hit them with a professional attitude. Do you mind if I ask what genres you mostly get placed and which shows you get the majority of your placements? They're going to think you're smart for asking. So don't fall prey to the they love me syndrome. I see it happen all the time. Somebody gets contacted by a library and they're so happy to have somebody show interest in them that they fall in love with that company, end up putting a ton of music in that catalog. But a year later, they've got no placements. But now they've got the majority of everything they've cranked out for the last 6 months or a year or 2 years, whatever. And they've got it all sitting in one catalog collecting dust because they didn't go through, crazy. They didn't go through this thought process and really think it through because they are so enamored with somebody who loves them that they just don't think about it. So the smart move, Put handfuls of your music in several catalogs and see which ones get the most action for the kind of music you make. Then feed more of that style of music and maybe a couple others to that same company. But again, don't make everything go right over there to that one company. Handfuls in several. And let's say you get handfuls of music in 5 or 6 catalogs. And of those 5 or 6, this is probably a decent guess, 2 of them are going to be pretty fruitful for you. So now put music in the 2 of them. Start not putting music in the other ones unless they start to pick up and give you some activity. Put it in the catalogs where you're getting the action. Give them the genres that you're getting the action with, right? Makes perfect sense. So, but don't give them everything for a long period of time. Why? Because the shows that they work with, they're going to lose their executive producer and get a new one who doesn't want to use these libraries because there's no kickback taking place, or they just don't like the music, or they want to bring their own personal taste and, kind of put their stamp on the show and give it a new sonic palette. Could be the show gets bounced off the air. Could be a lot of things. Could be that they get new editors because they're looking for a fresh look on the show, and the editors start using different cues than what the other editors use, because we all know editors do tend to use the same cues over and over and over again because they know what they're going to get, they know where to find it, and they've liked the end result before. So what you get is a show that eventually has kind of a boring sonic palette because they are using the same composers and the same cues over and over. However, if you are that composer or one of the composers, you're lucky and you're fortunate. But things change. They always change. Circumstances on many levels can change. And when that happens, if you've only got your music in one library in particular, especially, or maybe 2, you're going to get screwed. You're going to hit a dry spell. So you want to continue to make music and look for other catalogs where you can get action. Because ultimately, the dream scenario, I personally believe, is to have your music in like 5 or 6 catalogs that are all doing like mid-level to high-level work for you. Where you're going yay, yay, yay with one of them, and the other ones you're going pretty good, not so bad, That way you've got equilibrium, and if one slumps, the other one will pick up and so forth. So you're hedging your bets. It's exactly like putting your money into a mutual fund so that you're not having everything riding on one stock. Also, here's some food for thought. Taxi actually vets all the companies we work with, so you can feel confident that they're active, hardworking companies with good track records on, at least in one thing or another. One of the things we don't vet for is, do they get music in TV shows, films, and commercials? It's pretty evident when we talk to them, when they run the listings, when we look at their websites, that stuff does become pretty self-evident. But we don't make that a requirement that they have to have success in film, TV, and commercials, and or video games or whatever. If they're just strong in reality TV shows, that's okay with us. We're fine with that. So know that if you're working with companies that Taxi has vetted, that you're already working with a better class of company, number one. But even though it's a company Taxi works with, you still should avoid putting too many eggs in that one basket, or even a couple of baskets. Spread your eggs around. Plant your seeds in many, many places, as many as you can, and see where they produce more fruit, and find several, I said this already, find several fruitful gardens to hedge your bets. So, which library is the best music library? Well, I think you've all figured out by now that there is no one company that's best for any one songwriter, composer, or artist. The answer is the best music library is one of several that work well for the type of music you're best at making and most prolific at making. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I conclude today's lesson. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now the floor is open to questions. You guys are still talking about, I'm like number 21. Was anybody paying attention? Are there any generalist libraries? There are some. I mean, let's face it, Universal Production Music has like a couple hundred libraries under their umbrella, so I guess technically they're generalists, but those libraries that are under their umbrella, are like French libraries, German libraries, trailer libraries. I mean, it's just like every specific specialty is probably represented. I don't know. I don't think anybody, even if they're intent, forget a big company, like a mega corporation like that owns 100 or 200 other libraries. But speaking of the smaller libraries with a staff of 1 to 5 people that have maybe 20,000 up to 50,000 tracks in them or something on that order. Or maybe even small one-person operation that's got 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 tracks. There are a lot of those out there, and some of them are really, really good because they get out there and hustle. But I don't think any of those are generalist, because it's really hard to be good at all. Being all things to all people usually means you're nothing at all to anybody. That was a bad paraphrase if ever I've heard one, but you get the idea. You really should be with companies, figure out, first of all, what it is that you're good at, what you can make a lot of and do really, really well, and then look for shows that use that kind of music and look in the credits to see which libraries those are, or let Taxi do the legwork for you and look at listings. If they're asking for a certain thing, they need it because they're going to make money with it. So, it's just like somebody saying, I've got a 7.5 Potoswa pump with a 3.5-inch heel. Or who needs that? It's a not a push business, it's a pull business. So what are they asking for? All right. Any questions? We got a half an hour, got 33 minutes left. Question, really a statement, music libraries that don't let you know when something is placed can drive you crazy. Honestly, part of the reason is that they have to run lean and mean because they're not like making millions of dollars, especially the smaller indie libraries. They might make a couple $100,000 a year, but they got to work really hard to get that. And if they don't let us know when they sign you guys most of the time. And so when do they find out? If they start tracking all that stuff, for every minute they're tracking or emailing you, that's a minute less that they can be making money for them and for you. So they choose to make money rather than, stroking their ego and your ego by going, hey, you got a 26-second placement in, whatever, The Bachelor. I have yet to ever watch a complete episode of The Bachelor, mind you. Jilly Gillihan? Question, if you get a critique and you send it right back fixed, will it get screened again? No. We get that question all the time. The reason we can't do it is, oh my gosh, people come up with, okay, so I got 24 hours to get it back in your hands. But you know what? I just ordered new monitors yesterday, and I'm waiting for them to come in, and I want to remix it. A million reasons why they're not going to hit the second deadline. And it's really not fair to the people who made the first deadline and got a forward, So it would just make things here at Taxi very chaotic. I mean, honestly, if I could charge like $200 a year per member to add a bunch of staff, $200 a year per member more, so that I could add a bunch of staff to deal with that stuff, but it would be so labor intensive and cause so much chaos from people not making the second deadline, not to mention the fact, look, if a music library provides a piece of music to a TV show, the people in the TV show, whether it's an editor working on a reality show or a music soup working on, Grey's Anatomy, whatever, the chances of them reaching out to somebody and saying, I love it, I want to use it in this scene. However, can you do me a mix that's got a little more kick drum in it? they just don't do that. They just move on to the next thing. So it's either you're ready to go, you got the goods, or you don't. But you know what? Take comfort in knowing that there will be other listings coming up that will ask for a very similar thing, and you will have the new improved version because of the great feedback you got from Taxi Screener. So there you go. And it's Gil, like fish. Got it. I'm sorry. I've been taking, like, the last 3 out of 5 nights, I've taken those little blue sleeping pills you get at Costco. They're essentially the same thing as Somanex, and they're really tiny, and I take a third of one. But I have found that they make my vision a little blurry the next day. But it's road rally season, so I get into bed, It's like I'll get home from work, have dinner, take an hour, watch TV, sometimes 2 hours because I'm binging the show Longmire right now, which I'm really enjoying. And then get very guilty because I know that I've still got 2 or 3 more hours of work that I should be doing. So I'll go sit at the kitchen table, pop open the laptop, do my work. And maybe it's the light coming off the screen. Maybe it's just I've got a million things in my head. Look, I am never more than inches away from the road rally schedules. And yes, confirmed live, confirmed pre-tape, confirmed live, tentative, waiting for answer, needs new title, confirmed, all this stuff. So I've got, oh my God, I screwed up the white balance again. I am never holding paper up again as long as I live. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so it screws me up. Then I can't sleep, and I end up taking one of those little, like a third, literally a little chip off the damn thing that's about the size of like half of a match head, and I still wake up the next day with blurry eyes. That's right, there's green on those sheets. Okay, let's do one more color adjustment just because I've still got 28 minutes and I want to look really good for you guys. So let me see. There I am. I'm selected. Good enough. And now the big reveal. Boom. There we go. Good enough for now, right? So that was exciting, the taxi paperwork. Yes, there are Alex Dillon. Hi, Alex. They're going to be listing panels. You know what? I don't want to lift up these papers anymore, get them anywhere near anything. No listing panels in the prequels, except the Michael Lloyd extravaganza. Michael Lloyd, who's produced 100 gold and platinum records, is still an active producer, still an active music supervisor, and he just loves critiquing you guys. I don't know why, but he really gets a big kick out of it. And he's really good at it. He's very honest, and he will tell you the truth, but he does it in such a way that it really doesn't sting. He's got it down to a fine art, and he never lies or exaggerates. I sit there and marvel at how he handles this stuff, because he can give you like a gut punch with a velvet glove and have you going, oh, thank you for hitting me, when he's done. I love watching him do it. So he is doing a 2-hour thing on Tuesday, November 2nd, which will be the second day of the prequels, and he's doing that from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. We're going to post the schedule in a few more days. I've literally got like 3 little things I'm waiting to hear. As soon as this show's over, hopefully I will have emails in my box and be able to finalize the schedule. Anyway, getting back to things that we are doing, we're doing instrumental pitch and feedback panel at 1:45 on Friday, day 1 of the members only rally. We're doing a TV and film song pitch panel with 3 really, I mean, all these panels are great. But I do have the head of production at one of the giant libraries is joining us for one of those panels, and she used to be a screener here years ago. She's a very lovely woman who's incredibly smart, great ears. I love her to death, and I'm thrilled that she's going to make it for this. Then on day 2, Saturday, November 6th, we're doing an instrumental music feedback panel with Taxi A&R team members. I've never done a listening panel with 3 of our screeners before, but you guys have loved all 3 of these guys when they've been on Taxi TVs in the past. So I'm having Paul Taylor, who was just on like 2 months ago, Craig Pilo, and Joe Brandt, and they are all locked in and confirmed. Let's see. Here's one that's giving me problems. Music supervisor, TV and film song pitch and feedback panel. Frank Palazzolo, who's been an all-star at the Road Rally, has confirmed. And I'm waiting on final confirmation from 2 others. I'd reached out to Jen Malone, who's an old friend of mine. She was a screener here at Taxi, and she... oh no, that was for a different panel. Anyway, she can't do it. So I'm waiting to hear from 2 people on this panel. And if they can't do it, I think I just got to publish the schedule, and I'm going to quit searching, and I'm just going to have Frank Palazzolo do it, because the guy's like a machine. I've never seen anybody give such great feedback at the speed with which he can do it. He's a monster in a good way. Did I tell you Steve Barton's doing a thing called Stinger, Stems, Edit Points, and Developmental Arcs? That'll be good. Brandon Purcell is doing Composing on Demand with a blank slate and a short timeline. I think that should be excellent. And we're doing the Happy Ending pitch panel. I've confirmed the vintage music panel, why your oldies could be goodies. So let's see, and over here, now it's got an extra 1 or 2 on there. Anyway, the bottom line is yes, I think that there are 4 different panels where we will be listening to music. So there you go. I will be so glad when this rally's over. I still have to move on to things like getting all the title cards for the videos edited and music laid into those. I think in total I've got like 34 different things, different panels or sessions that we're going to air. This like twice what we had last year, I believe. Somewhere close to twice what we had last year. That's right. And JP and... oh gosh, what's his name? Can't think of his name. Anyway, JP and another member who I love, who's been on the show. What's his name, John? Greg. That's what I get for drinking the matcha green tea. Dear God. Oh, we're doing Be a Fly on the Wall for a Country Co-Write. That's going to be cool. How to build a professional website. Producing TV for your day gig. With Matt Vanderboe, Chuck Henry, and Stephen Baird. That'll be funny and educational. Where did those guys go? Where is JP and Greg Carrozza? There we go. They are on Sunday, the last day, 3:15 to 4:15. How to find success using Taxi. Because I'm actually very impressed with JP and Greg Carrozza, because both of them kind of started out going, I don't know if this is working. You know, you guys might ought to rethink the way you're working this company, blah, 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 blah. And then the light went on for them, and they went ding, ding, ding. And now they're both like doing really, really well. Yes, Dean Kripane is going to do a thing. I'm just doing this from memory, but something like music libraries, what they are and what they do. A lot of people, you know, we can't assume that all of us who are going to be participating in the Road Rally are you guys. That there are going to be a lot of people watching. I mean, last year on some of the prequels, we had like 3,000 to 5,000 people watching the live stuff. Many of them don't even know what the hell a music library is. A lot of new Taxi members don't know what a music library is. So they need to get that explained, because they're going to hear music library, music library, music library all weekend long, and they're not going to know. Question, do you suggest an artist not distribute their songs before a submission due to opportunities like the unheard, unpublished music? Yes, and to some degree, yes. But I think those are fairly few and far between. However, make sure that if you sign up to distribute with somebody like CD Baby, which I always say is a wonderful company, we've known them for many years, we're friends with many of their executives, make sure you don't sign up for CD Baby Pro and then submit the same material for opportunities with music libraries or film and TV publishers, because you already have a publishing deal. If you signed up with CD Baby Pro and check that box that says, yes, please monetize my music for me online, you've got a publisher. You might not have realized it when you checked the box, but you do have a publisher. So why would another publisher want to have your music in their catalog when they'd just be making money for CD Baby or TuneCo or whoever? Do you have to be extra quiet in a music library? That's funny, Ray Hill. What was Paul's question? I like Paul's question. Let me see what it is. Oh, answered that one already. Okay. Andre saying, Dean is a sweet guy, so humble. He is a sweet guy. You're not going to get an email telling you how to up. We're going to run listings. And what we did last year, it worked out really, really well, is we run a listing for the panels. It will tell you which panel it's for. And then I'm trying to remember exactly how we did this. I don't think we did not pre-screen the music. We put everything into a digital bucket, if you will, for that panel at the rally. And then anything that wasn't played during the panel then goes back to screeners, and the screeners screen it and find the stuff that's just over a quality bar, because we're not looking for a particular TV show, a particular brief. So if it's over the quality bar, then it gets forwarded, it gets put on a compilation. Actually, it goes on a disco playlist, and we send it out to all the people who are on the panel and say, here's all the stuff that didn't get played for your panel. There are probably some gems in here because we pre-screened it. So there you go. So not only do you get a first bite of the apple actually on the panel, you get a second shot by making it through the screeners because your piece was good enough to be over that quality bar, and now the panelists might hear you on the playlist after the fact. So we try and give you as much bang for your buck as we can get you. Can we have Bobby Borg address marketing specifically for composers and not performing touring artists, musicians? Maybe a B2B plan or something. Honestly, I've brought that up a couple times, and it's not like it's fallen on deaf ears, but I don't think Bobby has the bandwidth right now. He's been so busy cranking these books out and doing all the teaching and stuff that he's doing that that's a whole separate thing that he would have to start researching. He hasn't done it, but he has been asked the question on the show. And honestly, I mean, think about it. You can apply a lot of the other marketing stuff. First of all, write a great subject line in the emails you send. Don't use tentative, wimpy phrases like, might it be possible that you could possibly have a spare minute or two in the next week or so to maybe check out my music? That's wimpy. You sound like you know they're not going to listen just by the way you phrase stuff. Instead, come up with a subject line that says, I'm in 4 other libraries, would like you to consider my music. The fact that you started with, I'm in 4 other libraries, ding, 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 they know that you're credible, right? So now they open the thing up and you say, I'm in this library, that library, the other library, and another library, and the genres that I'm strongest and most productive in are this, that, and the other thing. Here's a link. Please go check out my music and hit me back if you'd like to discuss anything further. There you go. The entire email right there. That's marketing. Build a website. And put your new music up on your website and do a blog about, I worked on this piece last week. It would be really good for shows like this and that and the other thing. I mean, the odds of somebody actually finding it on the website, not that great. But you know what? If you got 3 placements in a year because you had your music on your own website, it's worth the effort, right? Not to mention, it comes in handy that if you get hit up by a library or maybe a music supervisor and they want to hear your other stuff, don't do what a lot of people stupidly do, which is start attaching MP3s to 16 different emails that you're going to pepper them with overnight because you're so excited and you can't control yourself. And this way, you've got a website with all your stuff just sitting on there, and you can send them a link to the website. And that way, they don't have to clog their hard drive. They don't have to wait for the download. They don't have to clean your stuff off their desktop after they listen to it and decide if they don't like it. They can just go listen to it on your website. And maybe it actually serves the purpose of reinforcing the fact that you're already in 4 other libraries, although I wouldn't mention the other libraries on your website. Here's a mistake I see a lot of people make. They want to pound their chest a little bit, and I certainly understand that, and they're very proud of the fact that they're in this library or that library, and they think that it lends tremendous credibility for the general public at large to see that they're in these libraries. What you're doing is handing the keys to your competition so that they are going to go to these libraries they might not even know exist otherwise. So it's one thing if you use those library names if you're sending an email privately to another library owner that you're trying to do business with. It's another thing to put it on LinkedIn. I see stuff on LinkedIn and just sit there and go, oh my gosh, these poor people just don't know any better. Let me take it back to a dating analogy. Those are so similar. Let's say that you meet somebody and you're highly attracted to them. Would you then go tell would you write that person's name and phone number and email address in a public place? Susie is gorgeous. No, you want to hoard Susie a little bit. Keep her for yourself. Right? Maybe I'm old school. I don't know. Ewert, just switch to Bandzoogle. They're a good choice. I'm not saying that because they've tended to sponsor a lot of road rallies. I'm saying that because every time somebody says to me, I built a new website for my music. Check it out. It's Bandzoogle, Bandzoogle, Bandzoogle. Taxi staff members who have built websites use Bandzoogle. They all love it. I've never heard one bad thing about Bandzoogle. If Robin Frederick is a panelist, can I reveal her topic for the road rally? Why, hell yes, I can. She is going to do a prequel. Not on that sheet. Oh no, I feel a sneeze coming on. No. Streamline your songwriting process with Robin Frederick. Want to hit more deadlines in Taxi's industry listings and briefs from music supervisors? Hell yeah. Best-selling author and world-renowned songwriting coach Robin Frederick will show you how to write more and write better so you can get your music to the people who need it when they need it. Robin and I were on the phone chatting about a month ago, and we were trying to come up with a topic that she's not covered yet in a Taxi TV or a road rally. And she said, I get a lot of people that miss deadlines because they're so scattered and disorganized in their songwriting approach. And I said, well, how the hell do you fix that? And she said, I've got a way. And I said, well, there's your panel. So that's what she's doing. Yep, everything Robin does is great. I just made you check your LinkedIn, JP. Abraham Lincoln. I loved him. He was a great president. You checked it. Thank goodness, no mentions of libraries. Yeah, I see that all the time. I see it more often than not, where people very proudly post the names of these companies. It's like, why would you want to? Let's say you get 200 musicians that look at your website during the course of a year. Why would you want to send 100 of them are strangers, 100 of them are friends of yours? I can understand you wanting to help your friends, but strangers? No, don't create competition. So, yeah, glad you checked, JP. Good move, buddy. Yeah, I actually moved Robin to the prequels this year so that more people could see her. I always feel bad that some of the prequels last year, we had thousands upon thousands. I think the Carl Richardson thing, we had like 5,500 people watching that live, whereas the Taxi member stuff is private for members only, and I'd say we probably range from like 600 to 1,500 viewers live for each of those things. So it's just a smaller universe. It's not the world. Wow, it's 4:50. The prequels are on Monday, November 1st, Tuesday, November 2nd, and Wednesday, November 3rd. And they're going to happen between 9 and 6 p.m. on those 3 days. I haven't posted the schedules yet because I'm waiting from some sponsors who cannot make up their minds. Big corporate sponsors that, they're like a cruise ship. It's hard to turn them around, get them to react. So until I don't want to post the schedules and then have to repost the schedules online. It's not just like throwing up a Word doc. It takes a lot of effort to throw the schedule up there. So we're trying to get it as finalized as we can so that if we do have to go back and fix anything, they're tiny little tweaks, not major surgery. But I do realize we're coming up to a month away from the rally, so we got to get that stuff up there. Any more questions, or shall I try and think? I got anything interesting on my phone to show you? 2 mountain lions in the last week. One was 3.3 miles from my house. One was 2.6 miles from my house. Both of them in backyards of suburban homes. I'm telling you, I leave the grill on. After I cook on the grill, I leave it on for about a half an hour, like on low to medium heat, so that it just burns off all the grease and the crud. And then I go out there and brush it down after all that stuff has been turned into black carbon. And I now turn on the light on the patio because we had a bobcat in our yard some months ago. We have raccoons out there all the time. Coyotes are coming in pairs now. Probably the same 2 coyotes that like 3 nights a week I get them on the camera coming through the yard. So yeah, I'm getting worried. I'm going to go out there one night to turn the grill off, scrape it down or brush it down and turn off the grill and get pounced on by a mountain lion. I'm telling you, a friend of mine once saw the general area where we live back in like 1992 maybe. I tell you who it is, John Stork. He's like a world-class, world-famous studio designer that I've been friends with since the mid-'70s. And so Stork was coming out and he was going to stay with Deb and I. And when we got off the exit, he goes, I feel like I'm in that neighborhood in E.T. Yep. This is E.T. land. But that's what Southern California suburbs look like, Coyotes come in pairs, but not in peaches. Oh, man, you had to stay up late for that one. I told you guys about, I found like 2/3 of a mostly, I don't know what. I found the leftover gopher that a coyote had clearly eaten and then puked up in our backyard. Ronald Schultz says, I listen to you. I'm renewing my membership. God, but most time people have the opposite reaction. Thank you, Ron. Good to have you back. We're not doing any panels for ethnic or world music. I am doing one. I'm waiting again for a confirmation, hopefully that will be there when I get off the show tonight. I'm doing a panel specifically for hip-hop, R&B, and pop R&B. And, honestly, it was tough finding panelists because we have to cover the record side of the industry. We have to cover the film and TV side of the industry. And I still call that genre urban music. I can still find plenty of playlists online where they call it urban music. But I've been told by my staff that that is no longer a kosher word. You can't say urban music. Apparently that is offensive. So if I've offended you by telling you that that's offensive, I'm sorry. Who knows what's offensive anymore? It's hard to say. All right, 6 minutes left, and there's a question from Sherry. Yes. Um, Question from Sherry Marcus Milano. Great to see you, Sherry. Well, great to see your name anyway. I was thinking about your lovely son this morning while I was in bed having my coffee, answering emails. I was thinking about your kid. I haven't spoken to him in like 10 months or something. Anyway, Sherry's question is, with libraries that don't get placements for your songs, do you advise taking them back when allowed to try a different library? Yeah. I wouldn't do it like with a vengeance or anything. But let's say you've got 5 songs in a particular library and they've got a reversion clause in there. Usually reversions are anywhere between like 1 year, 3 years, maybe 5 years, which means if they haven't gotten a placement for it in that period of time, then you have the right to get it back. You get all your rights back. So they're not going to hate you for it, maybe just a little bit, because it's kind of a pain in the butt. I saw something the other day from a major big library, and they send out emails to everybody on their list saying, can you please remove all songs from this record label off of the hard drive that we sent you last year, or these 13 songs need to come off. Nobody takes those things off. Nobody is going to do that, but legally they have to tell them to do it, and then they don't do it, and then the show or the song that was supposed to be taken off ends up getting placed, of course, like a day later, a week later, a month later, and there actually is a provision that says even though that you've parted company, that they get a sunset clause in many cases, where even though you've taken it back, if they get a placement, they still make money on it somehow. Maybe if you've signed it to a new library, they do it 50-50 on the placement. I don't know. Too intricate for my feeble little brain to figure out. But I would do it in the nicest possible way, Sherry. They understand that. I mean, you've created something that, let's say it's been 3 years and it's time to revert back to you. Take advantage of that. But what I would do is figure out libraries that would be good targets for it before you pull it out. Better to leave it, on their shelf, if you will, as a possibility. If you don't have anywhere better to take it. So do the homework first, figure out where better is, and then pull it out. But you could give them notice now. Just say, we're coming up on our 30-day window for me to give you notice. So here you go. Consider yourself noticed. Do all music library deals have reversion clauses? No, they don't. If I had to guess, I would say 20 or 30%. It's a nice thing to have. A lot of times some people would say, look, if they can't get it placed, nobody else can get it placed. But it's not so much about the music as it is who are their customers. They might have signed it because they were so impressed with it. It was so good, and they were hopeful. And they thought, gosh, this is so good. Sooner or later, somebody's going to pick it up, and we'll both make money. And then they don't. Let's see. Any other questions? Is Jeff Walker, Rhymecology, a panelist? No, he's done stuff at the Road Rally, in the physical Road Rally, but he's not doing anything this year. Malaguena. Don't they have a vaccine for that? I wouldn't want to get the Malaguena. I hear it's worse than the COVID. Yeah, there are libraries that will go out of business. Good luck with that. It happens. Doesn't happen all that often. I do remember, though, there were some of my friends that own exclusive libraries, and when non-exclusive libraries were proliferating, my exclusive library owner friends would say, you'll see, give them another year or two, they'll be out of business. And actually, when the economy got really bad, 2008, 2009, Some of them did go out of business. Some of them were just people. You know what happens is somebody's a composer, and now they've got more work than they can handle because they've gotten their music into several libraries, and they're getting a lot of briefs in, and they're just chasing the dragon. And they go, excuse me, I've got all these briefs coming into me. I bet you if I signed like just 10 or 20 or 30 other writers and picked up a few pieces of music from each of them and started my own catalog, then I could be making half of the money on all the things I have to pass up now that I'm making none of the money on. And then they realize, it's like, wow, all of a sudden, they went from making $7,200 a year to $10,000 a year because they're making half the money on their composer buddies, and that's cool. But now they have to start dispersing the funds and filing this and registering that and doing all this legwork and paperwork. And then they're getting emails from those 20 or 30 composers they signed. How come you haven't gotten my stuff placed? Is there something more that you need? Something I should be doing better? And now they find out, oh, and by the way, the library owner still has a day job because they're not making enough money from their own music or their little new library that they can afford to quit working. So they're working a day job. They have a mortgage. They have a family. They have Little League. They have all that stuff. And now, and I'm thinking of one of my taxi member friends that started a library years ago, and he and I have spoken on a Sunday night where we're both working at 10 or 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday night. It's like, welcome to being in business, sucker. Everybody looks at you and goes, oh, you're making a ton of money because you own that company. You work a lot of hours. And just watching these guys, there's a period where you go between being a small boutique library, which I think is an overused term, to being a bigger boutique library, which might have 50 to 200 composers. Once you get to that level, now you're making an extra 30 grand a year. But you know what you need? You need a $35,000 or $40,000 a year employee to handle all that stuff. The registrations and the filing and the this and that and the check cutting and the accounting, all that stuff. So now you are spending more money than you're making by bringing that second person on. So you have to have a very serious talk with yourself. Do I believe I can turn this into $100,000 a year extra income where I can net $65K, and after the government takes their chunk of that, I'm going to walk away with about $40,000? Is it worth it to not have a life and do all this extra work? Oh, and by the way, you've got an employee, so you have to pay employment taxes and maybe health insurance. And you got to be careful that if the employee is working out of your house, that it's not a member of the other gender and that the two of you are alone in there together. And believe it or not, there are actually laws about restrooms. If you have an employee that works out of your house, and the employee, let's say, is a lady, and you've got to have, in certain states, not all, but I believe California is one of them because I've been through this, we had to have a bathroom. When Taxi was operating out of 2 3-bedroom apartments that were side by side, we had to have a bathroom that was ladies only, which is certainly understandable. But these are all little things you don't think about when you go, I've got more requests for music than I can handle on my own. I know, I will start a library. Anyway, so there you have it, guys. I am very, very happy that we got to hang out today and that we got to discuss what the best music library is. And I hope that the stuff I told you was of some value, because I totally understand when people just have this knee-jerk response. They love me. They love me. So don't let the love go to your head. Good night, all, says JP. Good night, JP. Good to see you. Good to see your name anyway in the list. And remember, I'm not going to do a quarantini on Thursday. And, well, I was going to say unfortunately, I'm going to be at some close family friends. Their daughter's getting married at 3:30 on Monday afternoon at the Malibu Civic Center or something. I don't know. So no Taxi TV, but I will be back on Tuesday, 1 week from today, to do a quarantini happy hour. And I strongly suggest that more of you guys are drinking during that show because I haven't seen a lot of drinking, and we're called quarantini, Liz just asked me 5 minutes before we went live on the air, have you ever come up with a new name? I did finally find the document. I'm just so busy at the road rally right now. Every little 2-minute thing I do takes away from me being on schedule at the rally. And frankly, I'm a week behind where I want to be. So that's it. Have a great week, you guys. Great to see you. And bon voyage. Bye-bye. Rick Brass ahead of here. Nice going.